So friends, we will discuss world history because this is human past which is relevant for the present, because for history it is said that it is the mirror of past, lesson for the future, and it helps us to understand the present better because it is the study of continuity and changes. So there are many things which are continuing from past, which we are inheriting from the past, which is practiced even today. There are many things which have been subject to change. So we cannot understand present better unless we find and trace it from its origin. Our discussion will be mainly confined to the modern world history. So we need to know a little bit before it, because modernization formally started from 14th century onwards. What before that? What is modern? So modernization is based on three pillars. First is rationality. Rationality means cost benefit analysis, logic, reasoning. Nothing would be accepted as a matter of blind faith and superstition. Without verification, nothing would be accepted. Second is scientific approach. Science is based on facts, systematic, based on observation, repetition, demonstration, experimentation, and those facts which are universally accepted. So first pillar of modernization is rationality, second is scientific approach, and third is humanism. Humanism means focusing on human aspect, human liberty, human welfare, human pleasure, human potential. Talking about mundane affairs, worldly affairs, not extra worldly affairs. Not to talk about God, heaven, which is not which cannot be verified, which cannot be empirically demonstrated. So, we need to contrast the medieval age with the modern age first. 500 to 1200 AD is called Dark Age of Europe, feudal age of Europe. No secular polity, no long distance trade, no prosperity, no individual liberty, and there was no corresponding scientific approach. So that was Dark Age of Europe, 500 to 1200 AD. Political fragmentation was inhibiting long distance trade, so there was no prosperity. But there were so many things which changed, like invention of paper in China, like crusade, jihad, the war between Islamic world and Christian world, which ultimately benefited Christian world. So many other reasons like emphasis on rationality, urge for prosperity. So from 14th century onwards, we see political unification in place of fragmentation, and large nation states emerged. Machiavelli, the Italian thinker in 15th century, who favored secular integration of Italy, used the word nation state for the first time. State was there even earlier. Without a state, there will be anarchy, lawlessness, uncertainty. So state is the manifestation of human rationality. Earlier, in pre-Christian period, city-state. In East, there were Oriental empires as well. In medieval time, there were feudal states. And now we have large nation state. Nation is derived from the root word natio, which means racial group. Nation is an imagined political community. Nation has two dimensions: internal, among the members of the society or members of the nation, they have feeling of oneness based on shared historical memories, shared territory, shared political aspiration, and shared interest. and externally separateness from others. Like United States of America as a nation state is different from that of India. India as a nation state is different from Brazil. So externally there is separateness. So destiny of the group nation is shared. So that is inculcating feeling of oneness, that is inculcating bond of nationalism. So large nation state emerged in 14th century onwards, and it was in Western European countries first. Like culture and language became the basis of nationhood. Like English speaking people became England, Dutch speaking Holland, French speaking France, Portuguese speaking. So Western European countries took the lead in modernization. So modernization was accompanied with liberalism, capitalism. An initial phase of capitalism was trading capitalism. If long distance trade has to take place, feudal lords must be done away with. Large nation state will emerge under strong monarch. So in early modern period, large nation state with political unification emerged under strong monarchs that facilitated long distance trade. Moreover, the undue interference of religion in politics was hampering growth, was promoting superstitions, which was coming in the way of prosperity. So, two classes were at receiving end. One, Pope, Church, clergy, and other feudal lords. Otherwise, for every other section, it was win-win situation. For the king, no intermediaries, no dependence on intermediaries for collection of taxes, no leakages. King can collect the taxes directly from the people. People will have to finance only luxury of one king, which is feasible for them. Otherwise, financing luxury of large number of intermediaries or feudal lords would be quite exploitative. So people were happy that they will be relieved from the exploitation of feudal lords. King would be happy because more long distance trade, more tax collection, no dependence on feudal intermediaries, no undue interference of religion and church. Middle class traders were also happy because they will get opportunity with individual freedom. So modernization also led to breaking of traditions. And liberalism, the root word is liberal, individual liberty, individual freedom, which will enable individual entrepreneurship, individual initiative, individual innovations, voyages like Columbus, Vasco da Gama, Amerigo, James Cook. Who were they? They were voyagers. They took risk. They went for overseas trade. Because if prosperity has to grow, merely long distance trade within the nation state would not be feasible or would not be sufficient in fact. So they will have to go for overseas trade. East India Company of England, of France, of Portugal, of Spain, they will go for overseas trade. That was very natural corollary or consequence of the urge of prosperity. So modern period was accompanied with liberalism, capitalism, was accompanied with emergence of large nation state under strong monarch, was accompanied with end of gradual end and ongoing end of feudal age, beginning of secular polity, breaking of traditions. And 14th century is known as century of Renaissance. Renaissance means rebirth. Rebirth of what? Rebirth means revival of interest towards pre-Christian Greek literature, which were rational, like literatures of Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, were based on rationality. They had contemplative thinking. They had certain philosophy. that were overlooked during medieval age, but there was revival of interest. It was not exact replica of the past, but source of inspiration was there, and that led to rationality. So 14th century Renaissance, which ushered modernization. But it will be wrong to think that the modernization took place in few years or only 100 years. It was ongoing phenomenon. 15th century is called period of reformation, reform in religion. Most of the religious superstition were responsible for social evils. So many traditions like not to cross the sea, money lending is bad, Sunday is God's day. But religion was also reformed. Protestants came who had a spirit of capitalism. Time is money, work is worship, every day is working day. So reform in religion led to prosperity, led to secular polity as well, led to breaking of traditions, led to unleashing individual initiative, innovations, wages, which will ultimately lead to prosperity. So Protestants, which were different from Roman Catholic, Protestants were progressive. They were going for capitalist mercantilism. 16th century and 17th century were the centuries of scientific inventions. Once there was focus on individual liberty, individual freedom, individual potential, rationality, scientific approach, then that led to many scientific inventions also. Those scientific inventions of Isaac Newton or James Watt and so on, that changed the material life, that changed the polity, that changed the society, that also helped in breaking superstitions which were coming in the way of prosperity. So 16th and 17th century were the period of scientific inventions. Then we see 1750 onwards. There was a revolution called Industrial Revolution, factory system of production, mass production, value-added production, processing. So in place of trading capitalism, now industrial capitalism was becoming prevalent. So industrial revolution led to industrial capitalism. An industrial mode of production is far more superior than trading. So what is revolution? Is every change qualified to be called revolution? No. Revolution is a radical change, unprecedented change, all comprehensive change in social, economic, political, cultural spheres. And industrial revolution was ongoing revolution. It started from England. England was fortunate in having availability of natural resources, naval superiority, geographical location also was favorable. So industrial revolution started from England. It spread to other countries. Other means Western European countries. Because other parts of the globe, be it Asia, be it Africa, be it Latin America, or be it even North America, they picked up late. So industrial revolution spread to other Western European countries as well. That further strengthened nationalism. And if prosperity has to be there, the capitalism must grow. And the next logical step of capitalism would be imperialism. Imperialism means subjugating weaker countries of Asia, Africa, Latin America by military means and going for economic exploitation. So the Western European countries will prosper at the cost of their colonies. Colonies were those which were subjugated by imperial countries.